Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us at our thought leadership table this afternoon. And I first want to just welcome everyone, and let's go ahead and do some housekeeping. If you have any questions, please feel free to let Erica know, and she'll pass them over to me. Otherwise, you are welcome to just shout them out as well. And our panelists will be sure to answer all of your burning questions of 2013. So what I'd love is for each of you to just give us your name, the company that you work for, and just one unique, interesting fact about yourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and start with you, sir.
Ron Strandin, I'm the CEO of Envision, so go see our magician next door. Interesting fact, Seattle born and raised, so Seattle only gets 37 inches of rain a year, and is like 50th in the country in rain, despite popular opinion.
Hi, so my name is Miguel. I'm Vice President of Altitude Software for North America. As an interesting fact, I came from Europe, from Portugal, South country. So I'm based in Toronto at the moment, so moving from a country with only sun to Toronto, it's a little bit of a challenge, but it has been interesting until now.
Ryan, Vice President of LifeLock. Interesting fact, I used to be an architect major.
Little different than what
Go
you're
figure.
doing now.
Come in handy.
I'm Eric Head with Forsee. We measure customer experience analytics. And I guess some interesting things about me. I'm a Virgo. I like long walks on the beach.
All right, well, now that we've turned this into the dating game, no, seriously, one of the things that we hear so much about these days are the emerging channels, and the fact that mobile and social and advanced self-service are really taking, the front seat in a lot of our contact centers, and that we're all trying to figure out how to integrate them in, how to train for them, how to hire for them. But I'd like to hear, from each one of your expertise, how the emerging channels are actually benefiting, the work that you're doing. So, for example, Rob, let's talk about the emerging channels and identity theft and fraud, because there's some new, things that your organization has had to do because of these channels.
Sure, I think for us it's really adapting to the new marketplace. And trying to stay ahead of customer needs. So for us, it's making sure that we are being available for them, in any type of channel that they want to communicate with us. So instead of us forcing, how we deliver information and communicate to them, it's really being receptive to, how they want to be serviced by our contact center and our agents. So it's really staying ahead of that.
And Eric, are you finding that your customers now have different demands, or that their customers have different demands with these new channels?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things about today's consumer is they are more empowered than ever with a variety of channels to interact, a variety of devices from the tablet to the iPhone to the desktop, at work, at home. And I think ultimately it's not so much what we think as companies, it should be about what the consumer wants and needs.
Correct.
And what's interesting is a given person, so the same demographic, the same persona, so to speak, based on occasion or need, is going to prefer different channels at different times. So today they might want to use the mobile because they're at a conference to contact their bank, to manage their account. Tomorrow it might be at work from their desktop. And so I think the term is right channeling. It's making sure that you have all of those options open and available, and it's what's right for them at that moment in time.
And so, Miguel, from a unified perspective, how does an organization take all these new channels and make them more accessible in the right channel to not only their customers but to their agents?
Yeah, I believe, as I was saying, it's really important, the idea that consumers are the ones choosing the channel they want to use on a precise moment. And the challenges that I believe the companies are having is that they have all these platforms to provide customer services, but they usually have different platforms for different channels. So having a unified platform with all the channels available, from voice to email, chat, and the new social media channels, makes all the difference. If you want to actually if you are looking to have the full picture for the customer and to serve the customer the best way you can.
And Ron, from a staffing perspective, how are the emerging channels and multi-channel in particular impacting staffing?
What's interesting is now you're going to be able to staff agents for back office or multi-channel just like you do call centers. So the challenge becomes capturing that data through multiple applications and using those as skills and then assigning them to different schedules, for home agents especially.
One of the topics that came up in the last conversation was around the new generation of customer. And are you seeing that these new generations of customers have a different set of expectations on our contact centers and on our agents that they did before?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll jump in on that one. Again, because there are so many different ways to interact with a company or a brand, and because of the dynamic of social media, all kinds of information at all times, consumers now have, I think, higher than ever expectations. And we, again, use customer satisfaction as the key metric to measure experience, and customer satisfaction is a fairly simple formula.
Agreed.
It's a combination of what you receive from an experience plus what you expect. So expectation's a big part of the equation, and if you're not meeting those expectations, then you could be doing everything else right from a delivery standpoint, but you could actually suffer in terms of loyalty and long-term engagement.
I think it's more than just expectations. I think consumers now, they expect you to anticipate their needs. And so they want you to have the answers before they even ask the question. So it's making sure that you can integrate all those tools and information for your folks so they have everything right at their fingertips in addressing those questions before they're even asked.
And talking about the new channels and how demanding the consumers are getting, companies need to start not ignoring anymore social media. So actually companies, the truth is no one knows what to do with social media. Everyone wants to have social media, but
right.
to do what? But the fact is that the consumers, especially the new generation, they are using social media every second of the day. So companies, they need to take a look on that and make sure that the message that are on the social media, they are getting those messages and they are able to manage the information that is out on the market.
We have a number of very large customers who are doing very little in social media. While they want to, they just haven't seen the volume coming in.
Right.
But I have two sons in their 20s who will not call their mother, but they will text her all day long. And so a phone call becomes escalation, not communication. So as you see this group aging out, you'll see them wanting to text, wanting to chat, wanting to email, and if they make a phone call, it's bad.
Correct.
And you're going to have to actually put all those interactions together because you want to catch that interaction before it gets to a call.
And you know what's very interesting is it isn't just people in their 20s anymore. I'm in my 40s, and trust me, I'd rather text my mom than call her. And I'm in the same situation where if you get a phone call from me, it's probably an escalation. It means I've tried the channels I want and I'm not getting what I want. So that leads me to my next question of, is CSAT enough anymore? You know, CSAT has been the primary measurement, in our contact centers on how well we are doing. But is that enough? Do we need to start measuring something else?
Yes.
All right, what is it?
I think it's too one-dimensional. I think you have to look at information coming from customer surveys, from quality monitoring internally, but you also have to look at speed of answer per channel, you have to look at availability, you have to look at emotion that comes through, and you have to look at some of the speech analytics. You have to combine it all. It's not as simple as we answered the phone, they said we were good, and we left.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that. I think there's so many different inputs now in today's complex world that we've got to look at an entire tool set of things. I would say and maybe make the point that customer satisfaction is sort of an age-old anchor point around the customer experience. Back to the beginning of time, you are satisfied or not satisfied in an experience, and there are different components of that experience. In the call center, let's say talking to a live agent, the elements might include the knowledge of the agent, the professionalism, their ability to resolve your issue. And those elements then will drive an overall opinion, which is satisfaction. The way you then leave that call, that level of satisfaction, will naturally determine what you do next. Will you recommend? Will you return? Will you buy more? Will you register? So I don't disagree that we need all these other tools, but I think any measurement system, customer satisfaction can be that one anchor point to bring everything together into one spot.
I guess we're into definitions, because for me at the end of a call, when somebody says, were you satisfied with the service you got today, and somebody says yes, that doesn't mean I'm going to have a good net promoter score.
Exactly.
And so you have to bring that back in,
Exactly right.
because you may think it was good, they didn't think it was good.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, gentlemen, that is all the time we have for this afternoon, and I really want to thank you for being a part of our thought leadership table, and for all of your great insight this afternoon. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.